Strap on your Pip-Boy and grab your trusty blue jumpsuit because we're taking a radioactive road trip through the wasteland that is the Fallout franchise. From humble beginnings as a spiritual successor to another post-apocalyptic RPG, Fallout has mutated into a pop culture phenomenon, spawning numerous sequels, spin-offs, and enough merchandise to arm a legion of bottle cap hoarding raiders. But before we power up our laser pistols and delve into the history of super mutants and Brotherhood of Steel Paladins, let's take a moment to appreciate the glorious absurdity of it all. I mean, what other game series lets you solve a water crisis, gamble with a talking ghoul, or become a dog-loving mail carrier in a post-nuclear America? Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride through the irradiated history of Fallout. Our journey begins not in a dusty vault, but in the mind of a single developer at Interplay Productions. What would eventually become Fallout originally started as a game engine based on GURPS, the generic universal role-playing system, which programmer Tim Kaine was developing in his spare time. In 1994, Kaine managed to convince Interplay's president Brian Fargo that his passion project had potential for greatness. However, that didn't mean that the development was smooth sailing. Over the course of the next 3.5 years, the project would face several near cancellations or major changes, including in 1994 when Interplay acquired the licenses to Forgotten Realms and Planescape. Another big setback would be in March 1997 when Interplay terminated the license agreement for GURPS with Steve Jackson Games due to creative differences. Reportedly, Jackson took issue with the violence and dark humor which made up Fallout, and rather than deal with a licensor who had control over the environment in which GURPS was used, Interplay chose to pull out. This meant that designer Christopher Taylor and Tim Kaine had to come up with their own role-playing game system, and they only had a week to design and code it. Well, if necessity is the mother of invention, then pressure is the mother of performance, because in a week, they managed to create Special. Strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. I don't think there's a single Fallout fan who could imagine the series without this acronym. Different settings were considered for the game back when the engine was based on GURPS. Since the system was made to be applied to any story or genre, there was nothing stopping the team from making a fantasy or time-traveling game. Ultimately, the team decided upon a post-apocalyptic setting, which would make the game a spiritual successor to an earlier Interplay title, Wasteland. However, the game was not made a direct sequel to Wasteland, as the rights to that license was owned by rival publisher Electronic Arts, who refused to license it to Interplay. Setting Fallout apart from Wasteland is the retro-futuristic aesthetic, which draws heavy inspiration from literature and art of the 1950s. Tim Kaine credits Leonard Boyarsky with this direction, saying Leonard was the one who thought of the whole "I want Fallout to be what the 50s thought the future would be like," and everything I think people love about Fallout I think stems from that one brilliant idea. Fallout released in 1997 and takes place in a post-apocalyptic Southern California in the year 2161. You play as the Vault Dweller, who is tasked with recovering a water chip in the wasteland to replace the broken one in their underground shelter, Vault 13. Fallout was praised by critics, with some even predicting that the game would revive the CRPG genre. Jason of the Electric Playground said that Fallout is the best RPG in too long a time, and will rank high on your list of all-time favorites. If anyone else is trying to resurrect the RPG, here's a good model to follow. Great work, folks. Only 2 months after the release of Fallout, Tim Kaine would appear on Usenet, which is a precursor to modern-day social media, announcing that development had begun on a sequel to Fallout. In his post, Kaine writes, "Fallout took just under 4 years to make. Fallout 2 should take 11 months. Kaine would later clarify that Fallout 2's development had actually already started before Fallout had released, as it had really caused a buzz in the studio about 6 months before it was released. During development of Fallout, Interplay created an internal division named Black Isle Studios, with the mission to develop role-playing games. And while Black Isle were not the developers of Fallout, many from that development team would move into Black Isle Studios. The development of Fallout 2 was clearly rocky, as evidenced by members of the development team leaving Interplay to form Troika Games, including series creator Tim Kaine. "We were losing part of the game to a larger group who had bigger plans for it," said Kane, referring to the sales and marketing departments at Interplay. Black Isle Studios would release Fallout 2 in October 1998 to positive reviews. The game was set 80 years after the events of the first game, and the player takes control of the Chosen One, the grandchild of the Vault Dweller from the original Fallout. The game would introduce a number of Fallout mainstays, such as the Enclave, a remnant of the pre-war government obsessed with maintaining order and racial purity. While Fallout 1 had perks, Fallout 2 added traits, which were character quirks that gave both advantages and disadvantages. Fallout 2 also expanded on the variation and conclusion to its story, adding several distinct endings influenced by choices made by the player throughout the game. Charisma would expand the dialogue options from the original Fallout into speech checks, introduced in Fallout 2. Rather than just being flat choices in conversation, how you invested your skills now influenced how your interactions with other characters went. Fallout 2 was well received by critics and would likely have won several RPG of the Year awards had it not been for Baldur's Gate, which also came out in 1998 and was also published by Interplay. Interplay really had the RPG market cornered in the late 90s. Reviewers praised Fallout 2 for expanding upon the first game's strengths. The larger world, more complex story, and even greater freedom of choice were all lauded. The game's dark humor and quirky writing continued to be a highlight, with some reviewers calling it even more engaging than Fallout 1. The turn-based combat system, while familiar, was praised for its refinements and strategic depth. However, the game was also criticized for its frequent bugs and crashes, as well as its steep learning curve. Overall, Fallout 2's legacy is one of critical acclaim and enduring popularity within the gaming community. It cemented the core ideas of the Fallout franchise and continues to be a beloved entry in the series. Black Isle Studios was not the only division within Interplay. In 1999, Interplay started 14 Degrees East to handle the strategy game segment. After a few years of making Star Trek games, 14 Degrees East started trying to make Fallout games. For example, Fallout Extreme was a tactical shooter proposal presented to Interplay, but it was rejected and thus never materialized. However, 14 Degrees East was not supposed to just develop games, but also publish them. Developed by Australian studio Micro Forte, Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel was one of those games. It was a tactical squad-based spin-off from the RPGs that lets you step into the power armor of a Brotherhood of Steel initiate and fight for control of the wasteland. The development of Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel was a challenging journey through the irradiated wasteland of tight deadlines and unexpected changes. The entire game was developed in a mere 18 months, leaving little room for refinement or experimentation. If Interplay had allowed more time and money, Micro Forte would have been in a position to deliver a better game. That's fairly typical of the publisher-developer relationship. It just hurts more in this particular case because there was a higher expectation of quality due to the Fallout name. This tight deadline forced the team to make difficult decisions, ultimately leading to the scrapping of ambitious features like a multiplayer mode. The breakneck pace would be a reoccurring theme throughout development. Adding another layer of complexity, early demos showcased a real-time combat system. While innovative, the developers discovered it wasn't capturing the strategic depth or engaging gameplay they desired. In a critical mid-development decision, they opted to abandon the real-time system entirely and embrace the turn-based combat that had become a hallmark of the Fallout franchise. This last-minute shift required significant reworking of mechanics and balancing, adding another layer of pressure to the already constrained development schedule. Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel received generally favorable reviews, though not quite to the same level of universal acclaim as its predecessors. Reviewers widely praised the turn-based combat system familiar from Fallout and in Fallout 2. The strategic depth and tactical complexity resonated with fans who enjoyed those games' combat mechanics. However, the focus on combat over role-playing and linearity of the game as compared to the main series' more open concept were points of contention. Whether focus on tactical combat instead of role-playing in Fallout Tactics should be perceived as a negative, I'll leave with you. In the end, Fallout Tactics will be remembered as a well-executed post-apocalyptic strategy game, but one that is largely non-canon. Unsurprisingly, after the success of Fallout 2, there would be plans for a Fallout 3, but not the Fallout 3 that we know today. This was Black Isle's Fallout 3. Unfortunately, this game would never see the light of day, as in December 2003, Interplay would lay off the entire staff of Black Isle Studios, effectively canceling the game and anything else that Black Isle had going on. Several members of the development team, including Fergus Urquhart, Chris Avallone, and Joshua Sawyer, would go on to form Obsidian Entertainment, who would develop such games as Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, Neverwinter Nights 2, and of course Fallout New Vegas. Several aspects of Van Buren would make it over to New Vegas, such as the southwestern setting, the NCR Brotherhood War, and Caesar's Legion. If you want to learn more about Fallout Van Buren, I suggest this excellent video by Luckstat. In 2004, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel marched onto the scene, the first Fallout title developed specifically for consoles. Stepping away from Black Isle Studios, this entry was crafted by Interplay Entertainment themselves. Development details are a little hazy, but it seems that the project had a shorter time frame compared to the previous isometric RPGs. This might explain some of the design choices that would later become divisive among fans. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel lets you step into the shoes of one of 3 playable characters, all of whom join the Brotherhood for their own reasons, and have access to varying equipment. Additionally, you can unlock 3 other playable characters, including the Vault Dweller from the original Fallout, during the course of the game. The series' signature turn-based combat is swapped for a real-time action system. Players explore a 3D wasteland, battling mutants, raiders, and other post-apocalyptic threats with a variety of weapons and gadgets. The narrative is more linear than its predecessors, with a focus on completing missions and advancing the Brotherhood's agenda. While some more open exploration exists, it's not on the same scale as Fallout and Fallout 2. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel's reception was a mixed bag. Fans who adored the deep RPG mechanics and more open exploration of the first 2 games felt alienated by the action-oriented approach and linear story. Critics were more divided. Some praised the fast-paced combat and engaging visuals, while others found the repetitive missions and lack of depth disappointing. The game did introduce some new lore elements and offered a different perspective on the Brotherhood of Steel, but for many, it wasn't the same Fallout experience that we all craved. Like Fallout Tactics, Brotherhood of Steel was officially deemed non-canon by Todd Howard in 2007. However, this was somewhat retracted in 2020 by designer Emil Pagliarulo, who mentioned in an interview that they had retained aspects of Fallout Tactics, but made no mention of Brotherhood of Steel.
For us, canon always starts with what is in the games. And so it's what is in Fallout 1, Fallout 2, even some like Fallout Tactics is there's some stuff from canon from Fallout Tactics as well.
There was an ambitious sequel plan for the PlayStation 2, but it was ultimately canceled due to poor sales of the first game. Developed by Interplay, it aimed to expand upon the action RPG formula with features like cooperative gameplay and a new enemy faction called the Ciphers, who opposed technology. While details are scarce, the canceled project offered a glimpse into what could have been. A more action-oriented Fallout experience with a focus on teamwork and battling a unique enemy in the irradiated wasteland. By 2007, Interplay was on rocky ground financially. Facing bankruptcy, they sold off the Fallout intellectual property to Bethesda Softworks, who had been licensing the IP for the development of Fallout 3 for just under $6 million. As part of the deal, Interplay retained the rights to develop and publish the MMO set in the Fallout universe, which was announced back in 2004. However, that started a clock. The deal stipulated deadlines for Interplay to secure funding, start development, and release the game. 2 years later, Bethesda moved to cancel the Fallout MMO license that Interplay had, claiming that they had failed to meet the deadline stipulated in the deal. Some legal back and forth ensued, with the courts generally siding with Interplay as they had begun development in earnest. In an alleged $2 million out-of-court settlement, Fallout Online was canceled. Interplay would continue development on Project V13, but all references to Fallout would be removed. Additionally, Interplay would fully lose the rights to sell Fallout, Fallout 2, and Fallout Tactics by the end of 2013. And so, Interplay no longer had any rights to the Fallout series. It was the end of an era, but when life closes one door, it opens another vault. In 2004, Bethesda Softworks made a power play in the post-apocalyptic RPG landscape by acquiring the rights to the Fallout franchise from Interplay. Other bidders for developing the next Fallout game included Troika Games, founded by Tim Kaine. Troika Games co-founder and Fallout designer Leonard Boyarsky said, "To be perfectly honest, I was extremely disappointed that we did not get the chance to make the next Fallout game. This has nothing to do with Bethesda, it's just that we've always felt that Fallout was ours." This move sent shockwaves through the gaming community, stirring a mix of cautious optimism and apprehension among fans. While some worried Bethesda might stray too far from the series' established identity, others saw their RPG experience with titles like The Elder Scrolls as a potential breath of fresh air for Fallout. Bethesda didn't waste any time. Development on Fallout 3 began immediately, though a full reveal wouldn't come until 2008 at E3. This new chapter wouldn't just be a graphical overhaul, it would be a complete reimagining of the Fallout experience. Gone were the isometric turn-based battles and pre-rendered backgrounds. In their place, Bethesda built Fallout 3 using the Gamebryo engine, offering a fully 3D world for players to explore in first or third-person perspective. The iconic turn-based combat system was swapped out for a real-time action approach with VATS, Vault-Tec Assisted Targeting System, adding a layer of tactical slow-motion combat. Despite these significant changes, Fallout 3 retained the core elements that made the series so beloved. Players once again stepped into the shoes of a vault dweller, this time emerging from Vault 101 into the desolate Capital Wasteland, a post-apocalyptic Washington, D.C. The familiar blend of dark humor, quirky characters, and a world ravaged by nuclear war was very much present. Players could forge their own paths through the wasteland, tackling quests for various factions, making moral choices with lasting consequences, and scavenging for weapons and gear to survive the harsh environment. Fallout 3 wasn't without its criticisms, though. Some longtime fans missed the isometric perspective and turn-based combat, feeling the real-time action lacked the depth and strategy of the earlier games. Technical issues like bugs and glitches also marred the experience for some players. Despite this, Fallout 3 received universal acclaim. Reviewers praised the expansive world, engaging story, and the freedom of choice offered to players. Even the old Fallout developers agreed that Bethesda had done a good job creating the third installment in the series. Both Tim Kaine and Chris Avellone praised the atmosphere, attention to detail, and gameplay. The game had enough options and tools at my disposal to ensure I was having fun no matter what the challenges, so I can't ask for much more. However, they both also criticized the writing. If I had to pick something I didn't like about Fallout 3, I would pick its ending. I hated the ending. I especially didn't like the lack of real, meaningful, multiple endings beyond what I chose in the final few minutes. The game became a commercial success, selling millions of copies and revitalizing the Fallout franchise for a new generation of gamers. The impact of Fallout 3 extended beyond sales figures. It cemented Bethesda's reputation as a master of open-world RPGs and set a new standard for post-apocalyptic video games. It also reignited interest in the classic Fallout titles, leading to re-releases and a dedicated modding community that continues to create new content for these games to this day. Fallout 3 paved the way for future entries in the series, establishing a formula that Bethesda would continue to refine in subsequent titles like Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4. While some fans still hold a special place in their hearts for the isometric RPG style of the Black Isle Studios era, Fallout 3's success solidified Bethesda's role as the shepherd of the Fallout universe, ensuring a bright future for the franchise. Fallout New Vegas marked a fascinating chapter in the Fallout franchise's history. This 2010 title wasn't developed by Bethesda Softworks, who had taken the reins with Fallout 3. Instead, the reins were handed to Obsidian Entertainment, a studio with a special place in the hearts of many Fallout fans. Obsidian Entertainment was founded by several developers who had previously worked at Black Isle Studios. For these developers, Fallout New Vegas was a homecoming of sorts, a chance to revisit the world they helped build and craft a new Fallout experience that harkened back to the series' RPG roots. Fallout New Vegas didn't simply retread familiar ground. While it utilized the core mechanics and Gamebryo engine established in Fallout 3, it offered a distinct visual style and a new story set in the Mojave Wasteland, a sun-baked desert landscape encompassing parts of Nevada and California. The narrative was more complex and more morally ambiguous than that of Fallout 3. Players took on the role of a courier wrongly left for dead, thrust into a power struggle between various factions vying for control of New Vegas, a glittering beacon of civilization in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. Obsidian's experience with RPG mechanics shone through in Fallout New Vegas. The game offered a more nuanced skill system and a reputation system that had a tangible impact on how characters and factions interacted with the player. The dialogue system was also more expansive, allowing players to truly roleplay their characters and approach quests in multiple ways. Combat, while still real-time, received a significant overhaul with the introduction of iron sights and weapon degradation, adding a layer of tactical consideration to firefights. Fallout New Vegas wasn't without its limitations, though. Development time was tight, leading to some technical issues and occasional glitches, and the reuse of some assets from Fallout 3 was noticeable in some areas. However, these shortcomings were overshadowed by the game's strengths. Critics and fans alike praised the return to a more choice-driven, role-playing heavy experience, the well-written story with its morally great characters, and the unique setting of the Mojave Wasteland. Obsidian has created a totally compelling world, and its frustrations pale into insignificance compared to the immersive, obsessive experience on offer. Fallout New Vegas earned a reputation as a worthy successor to the legacy of Fallout and Fallout 2, solidifying Obsidian's place as a talented RPG developer. Fallout New Vegas' critical and commercial success, despite its development constraints, sent a message to Bethesda. Fans craved a return to the series' RPG roots alongside the open-world exploration offered by Fallout 3. This would influence the direction of future Fallout titles, with Bethesda incorporating more role-playing elements and branching narratives in subsequent games. Fallout New Vegas also cemented its place as a fan favorite, argued by many to be not only the best game in the series, but one of the best RPGs of all time. We've entered the 2010s, so you know what that means. A mobile game. In 2015, Bethesda ventured into new territory with Fallout Shelter, a free-to-play mobile simulation game. A departure from the sprawling open-world RPGs that define the franchise, Fallout Shelter offered a unique and surprisingly addictive experience focused on vault management. Players took on the role of an overseer, tasked with building and overseeing a thriving underground vault dwelling. The core gameplay loop of Fallout Shelter revolved around resource management and dweller well-being. Players constructed rooms to generate vital resources like power, food, and water. They then attracted and recruited dwellers to staff these rooms and keep the vault operational. Each dweller had unique, special stats that influenced their effectiveness in different tasks. Players needed to maintain a healthy balance of resources, keep dwellers happy and well-equipped, and fend off threats like radiation leaks and mutant attacks. But Fallout Shelter wasn't just about base building and resource management. It also offered a light touch of exploration. Players could send dwellers out into the wasteland on expeditions to scavenge for resources and gear. These expeditions added a touch of risk-reward, as dwellers could face dangers and potentially perish on these ventures. The free-to-play model with optional in-app purchases was a point of contention for some players. However, Fallout Shelter's core gameplay loop proved to be highly engaging. The charming retro-futuristic visuals, the quirky dwellers with their own personalities, and the constant challenge of keeping your vault running smoothly all contributed to the game's success. Fallout Shelter attracted a massive mobile audience, introducing a new generation to the Fallout universe and proving that the post-nuclear apocalypse could be a surprisingly fun place to manage from the comfort of your phone. But that wouldn't be the only Fallout game of the year. Fallout 4 arrived in 2015, bringing the series back to the East Coast and ushering in a new generation of post-apocalyptic adventures. Building upon the foundation laid by Fallout 3 and incorporating some of the role-playing elements that resonated with fans of Fallout New Vegas, Bethesda aimed to deliver a more personal and emotionally driven experience. Players stepped into the shoes of the sole survivor, a vault dweller emerging from cryostasis 210 years after the bombs fell. This time, the stakes were deeply personal. the player's character wasn't just a wasteland wanderer, but someone searching for their lost son in the ruins of a decimated Boston. Fallout 4 retained the core gameplay mechanics established in Fallout 3. The vast open world of the Commonwealth, encompassing a post-apocalyptic Boston and its surrounding areas, offered a wealth of exploration opportunities. Combat remained real-time, with VATS providing tactical, slow-motion aiming. However, Fallout 4 introduced some notable innovations. The crafting system received a significant overhaul, allowing players to scavenge and build an incredible variety of weapons, armor, robots, and even entire settlements. This emphasis on customization extended to character progression, with a perk system that offered more flexibility in building your character's skills and playstyle. The emotional core of Fallout 4 stemmed from the player's character's desperate search for their son, Sean. The voiced protagonist, a first for the series, added a new layer of immersion to the narrative. Players could forge alliances with various factions vying for power in the Commonwealth, each with their own ideologies and goals. From the militaristic Minutemen to the enigmatic Institute, these choices had a tangible impact on the story's direction and the Wasteland's fate. Fallout 4 wasn't without its criticisms, though. Some fans felt the voiced protagonist limited role-playing opportunities, and the main story's focus on finding Sean could feel less open-ended compared to previous titles. Technical issues and glitches also persisted to some degree. However, the game's strengths outweighed its weaknesses. The vast open world, the engaging crafting system, the freedom to build and customize settlements, and the improved combat all contributed to a highly immersive and replayable experience. Fallout 4 became a commercial juggernaut, selling millions of copies and further solidifying the franchise's place in the RPG genre. It also reignited discussions about the series' evolution. While some outliers still clamored for a return to the isometric perspective and turn-based combat of the classic Fallout titles, Fallout 4 demonstrated that the series could thrive with a focus on exploration, character agency, and a more personal narrative. For years, people have been asking Bethesda to add multiplayer support to their games so that they could play the likes of Elder Scrolls and Fallout with their friends. Their requests would be met in 2019 with Fallout 76, although some may have been sorry they even asked. This online multiplayer prequel ventured beyond the traditional single-player RPG format, instead thrusting players into a post-nuclear West Virginia 5 years after the bombs fell. Players emerged from Vault 76 alongside a cast of other Vault dwellers tasked with rebuilding civilization. Gone were the predefined companions and human NPCs of previous titles. The vast world of Appalachia was now populated by real players, each carving their own path in this shared wasteland. Fallout 76 offered a blend of cooperation and competition, which was unique in the series. Players could team up to tackle challenging quests, explore dangerous locations, and rebuild settlements together. However, the option for player versus player combat existed, adding a layer of tension and risk to the online world. The game also incorporated survival mechanics, requiring players to manage hunger, thirst, and disease to survive the harsh wasteland environment. Despite its ambitious premise, Fallout 76's launch was met with a wave of criticism. The game shipped with a significant number of bugs and technical glitches that hampered the overall experience. The lack of human NPCs and a perceived lack of depth in the narrative left some fans feeling disconnected from the world. The focus on online multiplayer wasn't a perfect fit for many Fallout fans who cherished the series' deep single-player RPG experiences. Another significant point of contention has been and continues to be the monetization strategy. Fallout 76 features microtransactions, and in December 2018, the in-game shop was especially highlighted due to the high prices of the cosmetic items added for the holiday season. Reddit user Lucky5150 had the following to say: "Most of us agree that the pricing is out of hand in the Atom shop, but this Santa outfit set just dropped at $20. That's $20, 1/3 of the full game, twice as much as most DLCs combined. I don't know how else to express it." In 2019, the game was again under criticism for its monetization strategy when items which provided gameplay advantages appeared in the Atomic Shop. Later in 2019, there would be even more criticism when Bethesda announced the plan to sell a premium subscription service for Fallout 76 titled Fallout First. For $12.99 per month, customers would get access to private servers, exclusive items, and currency for the Atomic Shop. However, despite the constant criticism, Bethesda hasn't abandoned Fallout 76. Through a series of substantial updates and expansions released over the years, the game has undergone a significant transformation. These updates addressed many of the launch issues, adding new content, storylines, features, and even human NPCs to flesh out the world. The introduction of private servers allowed players to control their online experience, catering to those who preferred a more cooperative approach. As of writing, Fallout 76 is sitting on a 75% recommended rating on Steam, and it would have its all-time high number of concurrent players recorded in April 2024 with the release of the Fallout TV series. Fallout Shelter Online, released in 2020 for iOS and Android devices, took the vault-building experience of Fallout Shelter and injected a dose of online competition. Developed by Chinese company Gaia Mobile under the Bethesda Softworks brand, this mobile title offered a familiar core gameplay loop, but with a twist, interacting and competing with other players from around the world. Players in Fallout Shelter Online still managed their own underground vaults, attracting and training dwellers, assigning them tasks, and ensuring the smooth operation of their subterranean society. However, the online aspect added a new layer of strategy. Players could raid other vaults for resources, defend their own from attacks, and engage in asynchronous PvP battles. Leaderboards provided bragging rights for the most well-managed vaults, adding a competitive edge to the classic Fallout Shelter experience. Fallout Shelter Online also introduced new heroes to the mix. These legendary characters from the Fallout universe, like Brotherhood of Steel Paladins or Wasteland Traders, offered unique abilities and could be recruited to bolster your vault's defenses or lead expeditions into the Wasteland. The Wasteland exploration aspect was expanded compared to the original Fallout Shelter, allowing players to send dwellers on quests and collect resources beyond the confines of their vault. Fallout Shelter Online wasn't free of critique. The free-to-play model with in-app purchases was a point of contention for some players who felt it gave those spending real money an advantage. Additionally, the game was initially only available in certain Asian territories, limiting its global reach. However, for those who enjoyed the base-building mechanics of Fallout Shelter and craved the touch of competition, Fallout Shelter Online provided a compelling experience on the go. While the availability of Fallout Shelter Online remains somewhat limited geographically, it serves as an interesting experiment in merging the single-player vault management of Fallout Shelter with online competition and interaction. It demonstrates the enduring appeal of the Fallout universe on mobile platforms and the potential for further exploration of the franchise in the online space. And that's it. We've reached the 2020s and there are no more Fallout games to talk about. All we can do now is look to other media and the rumors about the future. In April of this year, Amazon released a Fallout television series on their streaming platform Amazon Prime Video to rave reviews. This follows decades of trying to get Fallout on the silver screen, going all the way back to Interplay Entertainment. Fans of the series noticed a great attention to detail and references to the games which feel completely natural in their place in the show. In June 2022, Todd Howard confirmed that Fallout 5 would be made, but would not begin development until the completion of Elder Scrolls 6, so we can expect that sometime around the eventual heat death of the universe. All jokes aside, we may actually be getting Fallout 5 sooner than Todd Howard previously stated. On a recent episode of the Xbox 2 podcast aired in April 2024, Jez Corden claimed that the company is aware of the demand for the Fallout label, and everyone is acutely aware of how successful the next title in the series will be. To capitalize on the success of the TV show, Bethesda would want to get Fallout 5 out as soon as possible, and because Bethesda is all tied up with Elder Scrolls 6, there are rumors that they could be handing the reins over to Obsidian to fully develop Fallout 5. Regardless of rumors and speculation, it is clear that Bethesda is not done with the Fallout series, and we can expect to strap on another blue jumpsuit soon. I hope you enjoyed the entire history of Fallout. If you enjoy these type of historical gaming documentaries, you can check out my other videos here, and I'll be releasing 1 to 2 of these each month, so make sure you subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments which other franchises you want me to cover, and leave a like. It helps me out a ton. Thanks for watching.